Hi, welcome to Healing with Hope and Encouragement, where I share snippets, just a little snippets from my recovery process, and I give you an encouragement based on what I learned. So, I am still in my excuse-less mode. So I am wearing my excuse less t-shirt. And those are the little excuses that you could possibly find, like I'm busy, I'm not enough, but they're all crossed out because I'm not making excuses. So are you being excuseless? I'm trying not to make excuses on important stuff. Okay, today I want to talk to you about they don't care, or do they? Finding hope during recovery. It's finding hope in loneliness. So there was a time during my recovery period where I felt so deeply alone, lonely, even when there were a lots of people around me, even when I was surrounded by others. At home, there were people in the living area. I was in my bedroom. Also, maybe on church days when I was there alone, I felt incredibly lonely. But it's not so much as people around. It's people around and sometimes lack of engagement, but it's also knowing that it was lonely in terms of the pain I was feeling, the literal pain and the emotional pain and the physical things that I was experiencing. I was the only one experiencing that around me, really. And so people sometimes they weren't as affected as I was because I was the one feeling the deficits and the pain. And so they were probably a little more less empathetic, sympathetic, especially when I was improving, because in their eyes, I'm improving. What could be the issue? So, for example, you know, my brain works, okay? But yeah, it does, but multitasking was not good for me. Short term memory was not very good. My teenagers like that though. No, you didn't say this. Yes, you said this, but that was an issue for me. And sometimes I felt like people didn't understand that. Too many people talking at the same time. It's like, okay, I used to be able to talk with 3, 4 people at the same time and engage with all of them. Now it's like, okay, I just want people need to speak. Otherwise, I'm kind of like confused. Processing things quickly, I don't process that quickly anymore. I think longer, deeper. And those have been issues for me. Some have improved a lot, some no. But I had an overwhelming feeling of isolation and the thought that nobody understands. So there's certainly a struggle with people who are recovering or people who have been through whether illnesses or some emotional breakdown or mental health illness in recovery. And sometimes we can perceive that people don't care because of how they behave around us or how they do not behave around us. Do you feel that way sometimes? For those of you who are recovering from something, that kind of loneliness, as if people don't understand? I want to suggest to you that it could be that the reality of loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's also about feeling unseen, unheard, or misunderstood. And for example, like the physical struggles I had, like migraine headaches, dizziness, mobility issues, fatigue. I get fatigued very easily. Even now, my endurance is much better, but fatigued very easily. And then the emotional struggle, for example, grief, loss, frustration. I'm frustrated with things dropping out of my hand when they were, not being able to get to the bathroom, having to wait for someone, those things, having to wait for my meals when I'm hungry, having to be late with my medication because my meals didn't come, those little frustration, that things that probably wouldn't frustrate me before. I felt lonely on those, as if didn't understand the implications for me. And that deepened my isolation, having to sit things out pause, miss out on a lot of stuff. I have to decline things. Even now, I have to stop or say no doing things that people ask me, even though they are like, okay, she's okay now, her brain works, whatever. No, the answer is no, because for me, it would take some planning probably and take some time, but people probably don't understand that. But anyway, each day I wake up, I check the movement of my limbs, I wiggle my toes. Each headache that I have sometimes feels like, oh, it's happening again. Sometimes it makes you wonder, especially if the headache is a little harder than one before. Is it happening again? I go through those things, and some people might not understand that. Even when people are present, they may not truly get what you're going through. I've said this before, maybe my bestie is probably the only one who get most of it, because she knows if she calls, she's like, yeah, that's your migraine voice. Did you take your medication for it? So, but most people don't get it. But do you think they really don't care? Or maybe it's just that they are not aware, or they just don't know how to help with what the issue you're having. So they'd rather not dwell on it, not think about it, not sit with you and just be quiet, and just be there for you. Sometimes that's their challenge. I think people may care, but they really just struggle to express and to support you in ways that feel meaningful to you, if you're struggling with something like that. So it does feel lonely. Even people in general, they have no clue what it is to be wheelchair bound. And so you go in the store and they're reaching over your head. Maybe that's just point blank but rude. I don't know. But, they just reach over you instead of say, can I get something for you? When you're going in through a store and like there's no handicap button to get you in, they just walk past you and open the door and they're gone, as opposed to saying, hey, let me hold the door for you. And you see it happen sometimes with even the people around. They forget that the people around you just forget that you're in that position. They see you walking, so they just assume that you can walk like they do, or you can hold something and balance as they do. And so they're really not thinking. My family members do now, like if I'm turning or making sudden movements, they're much quicker now, they understand. But a lot of people, that's just not their default, to be understanding of people. My kids know that when I'm turning to and fro and trying to move around in the kitchen, you're like, mommy, you're going too fast, or mommy, be careful, because they know that I get dizzy just moving to and from so fast. And of course, migraines come anytime. Feel them coming, and they're going to get worse. And for me, I have to take my medication, go to sleep, and I may miss an event or miss something that's planned because I'm having a headache. And so, or I have to cancel. Or sometimes I don't commit to things that I know that I can't prepare for. Sudden things, I can prepare ahead, but sudden things, no. And so sometimes we have to shift the perspective. So maybe they do care, but they don't understand, or they don't know how to support. But I say to those who don't know, ask, how can I support you with this? What can I do with this? Because someone who is hurting because of something, they are hurting. And even if their face don't particularly show it daily, maybe ask. Today, our message of hope is from Matthew 28, verse 20. And it says, and surely I am with you always, to the end of the age. While human relationships may fall short, Jesus never leaves us, and he never leaves us lonely. He always puts something in the way to show us that he's there. Like where I sleep in my bed, when I was there a lot lonely, I always see the little bird comes. There's a little small bird, and I'm like, the Bible always talk about the sparrow, if he takes care of the sparrow. And I can just imagine, I don't know what kind of bird it is, but I know it's small. And I said, yeah, he's watching me. And so I find comfort that way in knowing that Jesus never leaves us. Sometimes I have night headaches and I'm alone. He understands, and I just talk to him because he knows. TV means nothing when you fear for your life. So that TV can't keep your company because you're just scared and you're having a rough night and there's great pain. Sometimes not responding to the medication. My doctor and I tried 3 different medication. The third one helped, but I'm just saying, sometimes people just don't understand it. I personally found the spiritual words to be comforting when nobody understood me. I was able to read and found that, oh my goodness, there are people in time past who had issues like this, who are lonely, who people really didn't understand that what they were going through, but they were able to find spiritual encouragement like that in extreme times of loneliness. Jesus himself was lonely when he went to pray, and the other guys who came with him fell asleep. He's like, oh my goodness, these people are sleeping. They don't understand the assignment. But I bet he felt lonely in that sense. But, he knew that he had a bigger calling. And so what I find to be helpful sometimes is journaling. It's like kind of talking to myself in the book. And in fact, I journaled a lot about what was going on during my rehab process. And that's where my book came from, actually. Healing with Hope. It came from some of the journal entries that I was making, and I was relating my rehab process, and I was pulling from some spiritual encouragement as well. And that's how I wrote the book Healing with Hope. The journaling really helped me to put things into perspective. And it's just a way of expressing yourself to yourself when there's no one there to listen to you. And for me, it's a good way of expression for me. So if you feel alone, though, remember that you're not forgotten. Seek out the word. The Bible has all kind of promises in there for you. You can seek faith-based support as well, or a counselor or a therapist or a community of people. You can even journal prayers, even if you don't know what to write. You can even, actually, my therapist, the first time I started doing it, she said, if you're mad, journal that. So the first couple of entries, it's really dark for me, but it helped. It really just helped me to get out what I was feeling. So trust also that God is always with you. When it doesn't feel like it, He is still there. Have you ever felt this way? How did you find comfort? Comment and share with someone else as well. And if you like these lessons, join the channel. Bye now.